44 questions to ask yourself. Reveal your authentic self and create the life you truly want. Written and published by Rising Audiobook. Introduction. What if the greatest breakthrough of your life doesn't begin with finding the right answer, but with asking the right question? The quality of your life is shaped by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Honest questions cut through fear, challenge limiting beliefs, expose hidden truths, and reveal possibilities you may have never considered. They have the power to uncover the authentic person buried beneath expectations, disappointments, self-doubt, and the pressure to become someone you're not. This book is not about giving you 44 perfect answers. It is about guiding you through 44 life-changing questions that invite deep reflection, meaningful growth, and lasting transformation. Some questions will inspire you, others may challenge you. A few may even make you uncomfortable. Embrace them all, because discomfort is often the doorway to clarity. As you move through these pages, don't rush. Pause after each question. Reflect honestly. Write your thoughts. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. There are no right or wrong answers, only truthful ones. By the time you reach the end, you won't simply know yourself better. You'll possess a clearer vision of who you are, what truly matters, and the courageous steps needed to create a life that reflects your deepest values, greatest potential, and most authentic self. Let's begin the journey. Chapter 1. The stranger in the mirror. Who have you become? There comes a moment in almost everyone's life when they stop and wonder, how did I get here? Not because life has necessarily gone wrong, but because somewhere along the way they no longer recognize the person staring back at them. As children, we express ourselves naturally. We laugh without worrying how we sound. We dream without asking whether our dreams are realistic. We speak honestly before we learn that honesty isn't always rewarded. But as the years pass, we begin collecting labels. We become the responsible one, the quiet one, the successful one, the failure, the people-pleaser, the perfectionist. Little by little, those labels begin to replace who we truly are. Many people spend decades living according to expectations they never consciously chose. Parents, teachers, friends, society, and even social media subtly tell us who we should become. Eventually, we stop asking what we want. Instead, we ask what will make others proud, what will keep people happy, or what will make us fit in. The result is a strange feeling of emptiness. Outwardly, life may appear successful, but inwardly, something feels missing. That feeling is often your authentic self asking to be heard. This chapter is an invitation to meet yourself again, not the version created by fear, approval, or habit, but the person underneath it all. Take your time with every question. There is no audience here. No one is grading your answers. Radical honesty is far more valuable than perfect answers. Question 1. When do I feel most like my true self? Think about the moments when you feel completely alive. Perhaps it's during a quiet walk at sunrise. Perhaps it's when you're creating art, solving problems, helping someone in need, teaching, writing, building something, or simply laughing with people who accept you exactly as you are. Your authentic self rarely appears when you're trying to impress others. It appears when you stop performing. Ask yourself, what activities make me lose track of time? When do I feel peaceful instead of pressured? Who allows me to be completely myself? These moments are clues. They point toward the life your heart naturally wants to live. Write down every situation where you feel genuine, free, and fully present. Patterns will begin to emerge. Question 2. Who have I become because of other people's expectations? Every person carries invisible expectations. Some are helpful. Others quietly shape a life that doesn't belong to us. Maybe you chose a career because it seemed respectable. Maybe you've stayed silent because speaking honestly felt risky. Maybe you've spent years trying to become someone your family wanted instead of someone you truly wanted to become. Ask yourself honestly, whose voice do I hear when I make important decisions? If nobody expected anything from me, what would I choose differently? The goal isn't to blame anyone. Most people who influenced you genuinely wanted what they believed was best. But there comes a time when maturity means deciding your own definition of success. Question 3. What part of myself have I hidden from the world? Most people hide something. Some hide kindness because they fear appearing weak. Others hide ambition because they fear criticism. Some hide creativity because they worry they aren't talented enough. Others hide vulnerability because they've been hurt before. Ask yourself, what qualities do I rarely show others? Why have I been hiding them? What would happen if I allowed those parts of me to exist openly? The qualities you've buried are often the very qualities capable of transforming your life. Authenticity requires courage. Not everyone will understand the real you, but the people who matter most usually appreciate honesty far more than perfection. Question 4. If I met myself today, would I admire the person I see? Imagine meeting yourself as a complete stranger. Forget your achievements. Forget your job title. Forget your possessions. Would you admire your character? Would you trust yourself? Would you enjoy spending time with the person you've become? This isn't meant to create guilt. It's meant to create awareness. Perhaps you'd admire your resilience but wish you were kinder to yourself. Perhaps you'd admire your discipline but realize you've neglected joy. Perhaps you'd discover that you're living responsibly but not meaningfully. Character is built one decision at a time. Every day offers another opportunity to become someone worthy of your own respect. These 4 questions may seem simple, yet they carry extraordinary power. Many people search for happiness by changing jobs, relationships, cities, or routines. Very few begin by asking whether they've become disconnected from themselves. Remember this truth: you cannot build an authentic life while pretending to be someone else. The journey toward the life you truly want doesn't begin with changing the outside world. It begins with recognizing the stranger in the mirror and having the courage to become yourself again. Before moving to the next chapter, pause for a few moments. Reread your answers. Look for recurring themes, emotions, or dreams that keep appearing. Those recurring patterns are not accidents. They are signposts pointing toward your authentic self. Sometimes the greatest transformation doesn't start with a dramatic decision. Sometimes it starts with quietly answering one honest question. Chapter 2. The invisible masks you wear every day. Have you ever smiled when your heart was hurting? Have you ever said, "I'm fine," when you weren't? Have you ever agreed with someone just to avoid conflict, even though every part of you wanted to say no? If your answer is yes, you've worn a mask. The truth is, everyone wears masks. We wear them to protect ourselves from rejection, criticism, disappointment, and failure. Some masks are so familiar that we forget we're wearing them. Over time, they become part of our identity, making it difficult to distinguish who we truly are from who we've learned to pretend to be. These masks often begin in childhood. Perhaps you learned that being quiet earned approval. Maybe being successful earned love. Perhaps hiding your emotions made you feel safe. Without realizing it, you adapted to survive. The problem isn't that you created these masks. The problem is believing you still need them. Every mask creates distance between you and other people, but more importantly, distance between you and yourself. The more you hide your authentic thoughts, feelings, and dreams, the harder it becomes to hear your own inner voice. This chapter is not about judging the masks you've worn. It's about recognizing them, understanding why they exist, and deciding whether they still deserve a place in your life. Take a deep breath, answer honestly, and remember, authenticity begins where pretending ends. Question 5. What mask do I wear most often and why? Think about the different versions of yourself that appear in different situations. Perhaps you're the confident professional at work, but deeply insecure when you're alone. Maybe you're always the strong one in your family, even when you're exhausted. Perhaps you're the funny friend who uses humor to hide pain. Or maybe you're the perfectionist who believes mistakes make you unworthy. Ask yourself, which version of me feels like an act? When did I first begin wearing this mask? What am I trying to protect myself from? Understanding your mask is not a sign of weakness. it's a sign of self-awareness. Many of the behaviors you call personality may actually be survival strategies that no longer serve you. Recognizing your mask is the first step toward removing it. Question 6. What am I afraid people would discover about me? Fear often hides behind our masks. Some people fear appearing unintelligent. Others fear being rejected if they express their real opinions. Some fear that they aren't good enough. Others secretly worry that if people knew their struggles, they'd lose respect. Ask yourself honestly, what part of myself do I work hardest to keep hidden? Is that fear based on facts or assumptions? Who taught me that this part of me wasn't acceptable? Remember, nobody is perfect. The people you admire also have doubts, insecurities, and failures. Authenticity doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty. Ironically, the qualities we try hardest to hide are often the very things that make us relatable and human. When you stop pretending to have everything together, you give others permission to do the same. Question 7. In which situations do I pretend to be someone I'm not? Pay attention to the moments when your behavior changes dramatically. Do you change your opinions to fit into a group? Do you stay silent because you're afraid of standing out? Do you act happier, wealthier, more confident, or more successful than you actually feel? Every time you betray your values to gain acceptance, you pay a hidden price. That price is self-respect. Ask yourself, where do I feel the strongest pressure to perform? Who makes me feel like I have to earn acceptance? What would happen if I simply showed up as myself? Not everyone will appreciate the authentic you. But the people who truly belong in your life never require you to become someone else. Real connection is built on truth, not performance. Question 8. What would change if I stopped pretending? Imagine waking up tomorrow with no fear of judgment. Imagine speaking honestly. Imagine pursuing the career that genuinely excites you. Imagine expressing your emotions without shame. Imagine saying no without guilt and yes without hesitation. What would your life look like? Perhaps you'd leave a job that drains your spirit. Perhaps you'd repair a broken relationship through honest conversation. Perhaps you'd finally begin writing, painting, traveling, studying, starting a business, or chasing the dream you've postponed for years. Ask yourself, what opportunity have I been avoiding because I've been pretending to be someone I'm not? What freedom is waiting on the other side of authenticity? The life you truly want rarely begins with changing your circumstances. It begins with changing your courage. Every mask has a purpose. It may have protected you from pain, rejection, loneliness, or disappointment. For that, you can be grateful. But protection should never become a prison. The person you created to survive is not necessarily the person you're meant to become. Growth requires releasing identities that once kept you safe, but now keep you small. Remember, authenticity doesn't mean saying everything that comes into your mind or ignoring the feelings of others. It means living in a way that reflects your values, your beliefs, and your genuine character, rather than constantly seeking approval. As you finish this chapter, look back at your answers. Notice which masks appear repeatedly. Notice the fears beneath them. Then ask yourself one final question. Who might I become if I no longer needed anyone's permission to be myself? The answer may not come today, it may not come tomorrow, but every honest answer you write brings you one step closer to the person you've always been beneath the masks, and that person is worth discovering. Chapter 3. The Chains You Never Chose. Some prisons have no walls, some chains make no sound. You cannot see them, touch them, or weigh them, yet they influence nearly every decision you make. They whisper when you want to take a risk. They speak when you dream of something bigger. They convince you that staying where you are is safer than discovering who you could become. These chains are not made of iron. They are made of fear, limiting beliefs, old wounds, and stories you've repeated to yourself for years. Perhaps you've said things like, "I'm not smart enough. People like me don't succeed. It's too late to change. I'll probably fail anyway." At first, these thoughts seem harmless, but every time you repeat them, they become stronger. Eventually, they stop sounding like opinions and begin sounding like facts. The greatest tragedy is that many of these beliefs were never yours to begin with. Someone criticized you, someone doubted you, someone compared you, someone made you believe your worth depended on your achievements, appearance, income, or approval from others. Without realizing it, you accepted their words as part of your identity. But beliefs are not always truths. They are often conclusions based on limited experiences. One failure does not make you a failure. One rejection does not make you unworthy. One mistake does not define your future. The purpose of this chapter is to identify the invisible chains you've been carrying and decide whether they deserve to remain part of your life. Remember, you cannot break chains you refuse to acknowledge. Question 9. What fear has quietly shaped my biggest decisions? Fear is not always loud. Sometimes it disguises itself as practicality. Sometimes it calls itself responsibility. Sometimes it convinces you that waiting for the perfect time is wisdom. Ask yourself honestly, how many opportunities have I declined because I was afraid? Maybe you stayed in a career that no longer inspires you because you feared financial uncertainty. Maybe you never confessed your feelings because rejection seemed unbearable. Maybe you've postponed your dreams year after year because failure felt more painful than regret. Fear has an incredible ability to make the familiar seem safer than the meaningful. Yet consider this. Every meaningful achievement you've ever admired required someone to act despite fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else matters more. Ask yourself, if fear were no longer making my decisions, what would I choose today? The answer may reveal the direction your heart has been pointing toward all along. Question 10. Which limiting belief have I accepted as truth? Your mind is constantly telling you stories. Some stories empower you, others quietly keep you trapped. Perhaps you've believed, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not talented, I always ruin things. People never change. The danger of limiting beliefs is that they become self-fulfilling. If you believe success isn't possible, you stop trying. If you believe relationships always end badly, you avoid vulnerability. If you believe you're incapable, you never develop your abilities. Ask yourself, who first planted this belief in my mind? What evidence actually supports it? What evidence contradicts it? Very often you'll discover that your belief rests on one painful experience rather than objective truth. Replace the question, is this belief true, with a more powerful one, is this belief helping me become the person I want to be? If the answer is no, perhaps it's time to let it go. Question 11. What excuse keeps me stuck where I am? Excuses rarely sound like excuses. They often sound reasonable. I'll start next month. I need more confidence first. I'm too busy. The timing isn't right. I'll do it when life becomes easier. Some of these reasons may contain truth, but they can also become comfortable hiding places. Ask yourself, how long have I been repeating the same reason for not changing? If someone else gave me this excuse, would I believe it? Growth rarely arrives when every condition is perfect. In fact, some of the most important decisions you'll ever make will happen while you're uncertain, imperfect, and afraid. Waiting until you feel completely ready often means waiting forever. Progress begins the moment you stop negotiating with your excuses. Remember, every excuse protects your comfort. Every action builds your future. Choose carefully. Question 12. What truth have I been avoiding because it's uncomfortable? There is usually one truth we already know but refuse to face. Perhaps you know your current job no longer reflects who you are. Perhaps you know a relationship has become unhealthy. Perhaps you know your habits are damaging your health. Perhaps you know you've been living according to other people's expectations rather than your own values. The truth often whispers long before it shouts. Ignoring it may provide temporary comfort, but eventually the cost becomes greater than the discomfort of facing it. Ask yourself, what truth keeps returning to my mind? Why have I been resisting it? What am I afraid will happen if I accept it? Sometimes the truth demands change. Sometimes it demands forgiveness. Sometimes it demands courage. but it always offers freedom. The moment you stop running from reality, you regain the power to shape it. These 4 questions are not meant to discourage you. They are meant to awaken you. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day for years. Eventually, the weight feels normal. You stop questioning it because you've forgotten what life feels like without it. Limiting beliefs work the same way. Fear becomes familiar. Excuses become routine. Old stories become identity. But familiarity does not make them true. The life you truly want cannot be built upon beliefs that convince you you're incapable of living it. Your authentic self has never believed you were too broken, too late, or too ordinary. Those ideas were learned. And what has been learned can also be unlearned. As you finish this chapter, read through your answers slowly. Notice which fear appears most often. Notice which belief keeps returning. Notice which excuse you've repeated for years. Most importantly, notice the uncomfortable truth you've been avoiding, because that truth is not your enemy, it is your invitation. Every extraordinary life begins with an ordinary decision, the decision to stop believing the stories that keep you small. Today, you have identified some of those stories. Tomorrow, you can begin writing new ones. And the most powerful story you will ever tell is the one in which you stop being a prisoner of your past beliefs and become the author of your own future. The chains you never chose do not have to become the chains you carry forever. The key has been in your hands all along. It begins with the courage to unlock the door. Chapter 4. Make peace with the person you used to be. There is a quiet burden that many people carry for years. It isn't visible to the world, yet it shapes their confidence, their relationships, and the way they see themselves. It is the burden of an unfinished past. Some people spend their lives replaying old mistakes. Others relive painful memories they wish had never happened. Some cannot forgive the people who hurt them, while others find it impossible to forgive themselves. The past has an incredible power. It can become either your greatest teacher or your permanent prison. The difference lies not in what happened, but in how you choose to carry it. Imagine trying to drive a car while staring only into the rear-view mirror. Sooner or later, you'll lose sight of the road ahead. The same thing happens in life. Looking back occasionally helps us learn. Living there prevents us from moving forward. The goal of this chapter is not to erase your past. Your past is part of your story. It shaped your strength, your wisdom, your compassion, and your resilience. But your past was never meant to become your identity. You are more than your worst decision. You are more than the hardest day of your life. You are more than the opinions of people who misunderstood you. The person you are becoming deserves freedom from the weight the person you used to be has been carrying. That freedom begins with honesty. Question 13. What memory still hurts me today? Some memories fade with time. Others remain surprisingly vivid, as though they happened yesterday. Perhaps someone betrayed your trust. Perhaps you experienced failure after giving your very best. Perhaps you lost someone you deeply loved. Perhaps you were criticized, rejected, embarrassed, or made to feel that you weren't enough. Ask yourself honestly, which memory still brings pain when I think about it? Why does this moment continue to affect me? What belief about myself was born from this experience? Painful memories often leave behind invisible conclusions. I can't trust anyone. I'll never be good enough. I don't deserve happiness. These conclusions quietly influence future decisions without us even noticing. The purpose of remembering is not to reopen old wounds. It is to understand what those wounds have been trying to teach you. Your past experience is real, but the meaning you've attached to it can change. When you change the meaning, you begin changing your future. Question 14. What mistake do I need to forgive myself for? For many people, the harshest critic isn't another person. It's the voice inside their own mind. It reminds them of every poor decision, every missed opportunity, every relationship they damaged, every chance they believe they wasted. The problem with guilt is that when carried for too long, it stops teaching and starts punishing. Ask yourself, what mistake have I been using as evidence that I'm not enough? If someone I deeply loved made the same mistake, Would I judge them as harshly as I judge myself? Most likely you wouldn't. You would remind them that human beings grow through experience. You would encourage them to learn, apologize if necessary, and move forward. Why should you deserve less compassion? Forgiving yourself does not mean pretending the mistake never happened. It means accepting responsibility without allowing that moment to define your entire identity. Growth begins where self-condemnation ends. The person who made that mistake no longer exists in exactly the same way. You have learned, you have changed, you have survived. Allow yourself to acknowledge that. Question 15. Who do I need to forgive to free my own heart? Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood ideas in personal growth. Many people believe forgiving someone means excusing what they did. It doesn't. Forgiveness does not say, "What happened was acceptable." Forgiveness says, "I refuse to let what happened continue controlling my life." Holding on to resentment feels powerful at first. It convinces us that we're protecting ourselves, but over time, resentment becomes another chain. The person who hurt you may have moved on years ago. Meanwhile, you continue carrying the emotional weight. Ask yourself, whose name immediately comes to mind when I think about unresolved pain? What emotions am I still carrying because of them? Who suffers most if I never let go? Forgiveness is not always a single decision. Sometimes it's a process. Some days you'll feel free. Other days the hurt may return. That's normal. Healing isn't measured by never feeling pain again. It's measured by gradually refusing to let pain decide who you become. Forgiveness is not a gift you give someone else. It is a gift you give your own future. Question 16. What lesson has my hardest season taught me? Every difficult chapter in life leaves something behind. Sometimes it leaves scars. Sometimes it leaves wisdom. Often it leaves both. Think about the greatest challenge you've ever faced. At the time, it probably felt unfair. You may have wondered why it happened to you. But looking back now, can you see anything it gave you? Perhaps it taught you patience. Perhaps it revealed strength you never knew you possessed. Perhaps it showed you who truly cared about you. Perhaps it forced you to change a path that was never right for you. Ask yourself, what positive quality emerged because of my struggles? How have my hardest experiences shaped the person I am today? Would I possess the same wisdom without those challenges? Pain often introduces us to parts of ourselves that comfort never could. Your strongest qualities may have been born during your darkest moments. Not because suffering is desirable, but because adversity often reveals courage that ordinary days never demand. Every challenge has the potential to become either a lifelong burden or a lifelong teacher. The choice belongs to you. The purpose of reflecting on your past is not to remain there. It is to collect the wisdom and leave behind the unnecessary weight. Your past cannot be rewritten, but your relationship with it can. Imagine carrying a suitcase filled with stones. Each stone represents regret, shame, anger, disappointment, or guilt. You've carried it for so long that you've forgotten how heavy it really is. Now imagine setting it down. The road ahead doesn't become easier, but you become lighter. That is what healing feels like. As you finish this chapter, read your answers carefully. Notice the memory that still needs compassion. Notice the mistake that deserves forgiveness. Notice the person whose influence over your emotions has lasted long enough. Notice the lesson that transformed your pain into wisdom. These answers are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you're finally facing what many people spend their entire lives avoiding. The person you used to be made choices with the knowledge, emotional maturity, and circumstances they had at the time. The person you are today has something far more valuable: perspective. And with perspective comes a choice. You can continue carrying yesterday into tomorrow, or you can thank your past for its lessons, release what no longer serves you, and walk toward the future with an open heart. Because the life you truly want has no room for unnecessary baggage. It is waiting for the version of you that has finally made peace with the person you used to be. Chapter 5. The life your heart has been whispering about. There is a quiet voice inside every human being. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention, it whispers. It whispers during peaceful mornings when the world is still asleep. It whispers when you see someone living a life that inspires you. It whispers when you finish another ordinary day and realize that despite everything you've accomplished, something still feels incomplete. Most people hear this voice. Very few listen to it. Why? Because the world is loud. There are deadlines to meet, responsibilities to carry, expectations to fulfill, and endless opinions telling you what success should look like. Slowly, the whispers of your own heart become drowned out by the noise around you. You begin chasing promotions instead of purpose. You pursue approval instead of peace. You collect achievements instead of fulfillment. One day you wake up and realize you've built a life that looks impressive from the outside but feels unfamiliar on the inside. The greatest regret many people experience isn't failure. It's realizing they spent years living someone else's version of success. The beautiful truth is that your heart has never stopped speaking. It has been patiently waiting for you to slow down and listen. This chapter is about reconnecting with that inner voice. Not the voice of fear, not the voice of comparison, not the voice of society, the voice that knows what truly matters to you. Let these 4 questions become a conversation with the deepest part of yourself. Question 17. What kind of life do I secretly dream about? Forget what seems practical for a moment. Forget what other people expect from you. Forget what society says you should want. If there were no limits, no criticism, and no fear of failure, what kind of life would you choose? Would you live in a quiet countryside surrounded by nature? Would you travel the world, experiencing different cultures? Would you build a business that creates meaningful change? Would you write books, teach others, create art, or spend more time with the people you love? Many people dismiss these dreams because they seem unrealistic. But your dreams often reveal your deepest values. They are not always instructions, they are clues. Ask yourself, which dreams have I ignored because they seemed impossible? What parts of those dreams can I begin living today? Remember, your ideal life isn't created all at once. It is built one decision at a time. Perhaps your dream isn't about becoming famous. Perhaps it's about having more freedom, more peace, more meaningful work, more time with your family. Dream honestly. You cannot build a future you've never allowed yourself to imagine. Question 18. What makes me feel truly alive? Think back to the moments when you forgot to check the time, the moments when you felt completely present. Perhaps you were helping someone solve a problem. Perhaps you were learning something new. Maybe you were hiking through mountains, playing music, cooking for loved ones, mentoring someone, writing, designing, or simply having a heartfelt conversation. Those moments matter. They reveal where your energy naturally flows. Many people spend their lives doing what drains them while neglecting what energizes them. Eventually, they mistake exhaustion for adulthood. But life was never meant to be survived. It was meant to be lived. Ask yourself, which activities leave me feeling energized rather than exhausted? When do I lose track of time because I'm fully engaged? What experiences make me feel grateful to be alive? Pay attention to your energy. Your energy often points toward your purpose more clearly than your resume ever will. The things that make your soul come alive deserve a place in your future. Question 19. If no one judged me, what would I pursue? Fear of judgment has stopped countless dreams before they ever had a chance to grow. People delay starting businesses because they fear looking foolish. They avoid changing careers because relatives might disapprove. They stay silent about their ideas because they worry others will laugh. The truth is simple. Someone will always have an opinion. If you live according to every opinion, you'll never truly live your own life. Ask yourself honestly, what decision have I postponed because I'm worried about what others will think? Whose approval am I still trying to earn? If criticism disappeared tomorrow, what action would I take immediately? Here's something worth remembering. People are often too busy worrying about their own lives to spend much time thinking about yours. And those who genuinely care about you usually want to see you become happier, healthier, and more authentic. Do not allow temporary opinions to determine your permanent future. Every extraordinary journey begins when someone chooses authenticity over approval. Perhaps that someone can be you. Question 20. What does success genuinely mean to me? This may be the most important question in the entire chapter, because if you never define success for yourself, someone else will. Society often measures success through income, status, possessions, or popularity. While these things can be valuable, they are incomplete. Real success is deeply personal. For one person, success may mean financial independence. For another, it means raising a loving family. Someone else may define success as good health, meaningful friendships, creative freedom, spiritual growth, or making a positive difference in the lives of others. None of these definitions is wrong. The mistake is believing they all have to be the same. Ask yourself, when I reach the end of my life, what achievements will matter most? What would make me feel that I truly lived rather than merely existed? Am I chasing goals that reflect my values or someone else's expectations? Success without fulfillment is a hollow victory, but a life aligned with your values is a success that no one can take away. Take time to write your own definition, not the one you inherited, not the one you were sold, the one that genuinely belongs to you. Your heart has been speaking to you for years, perhaps through quiet dissatisfaction, perhaps through recurring dreams, perhaps through moments of joy that felt more meaningful than anything money could buy. The question is not whether your heart is speaking. The question is whether you're willing to listen. As you read your answers, notice the patterns. Notice the dreams that refuse to disappear. Notice the activities that bring you life. Notice the fears that have kept those dreams hidden. Most importantly, notice your personal definition of success. These answers form the blueprint of a life that is uniquely yours. The life you truly want will never be built by copying someone else's path. It will be built by honoring your own values, trusting your own voice, and having the courage to pursue what genuinely matters to you. Your heart has never asked you to become someone else. It has only been asking you to become more of who you already are. Listen carefully. It may be whispering the direction of your next chapter. Chapter 6. The Habits, Quietly Writing Your Future. Every morning you wake up with a new opportunity to shape your life. Yet most people don't change their lives through dramatic breakthroughs. They change, or fail to change, through ordinary habits. A single decision may not seem important. Choosing to wake up 30 minutes earlier. Reading 10 pages instead of scrolling through social media. Taking a short walk. Making one healthy meal. Saving a small amount of money. Writing a single paragraph. Calling someone you love. Each action appears insignificant on its own, but life is not built in a day. It is built in days. Your future is not created by what you do occasionally. It is created by what you do consistently. Imagine two people standing at the same starting line. One chooses to improve by just 1% every day. The other believes small actions don't matter and waits for the perfect moment to make a dramatic change. At the end of 1 week, they appear almost identical. After 1 month, the difference is still difficult to notice. After 1 year, however, they are living completely different lives. Small habits are like tiny drops of water falling onto stone. One drop changes nothing. Thousands of drops reshape the rock. The same is true for your character, your confidence, your health, your relationships, and your future. Every habit is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. The question is not whether your habits are shaping your future. They already are. The question is whether they are creating the future you truly want. This chapter invites you to look honestly at the routines that quietly define your life. Because changing your life rarely begins with changing everything. It begins with changing what you repeatedly do. Question 21. Which habit is slowly building my future? Not every habit deserves to be broken. Some deserve to be celebrated. Before focusing on what needs to change, recognize what is already working. Perhaps you exercise regularly. Perhaps you read every evening. Maybe you always keep your promises. Perhaps you make time for prayer, meditation, learning, or meaningful conversations. These habits are more valuable than they may appear. Success isn't only about eliminating bad habits. It's also about strengthening good ones. Ask yourself, what daily habit consistently makes me a better person? Which routine leaves me feeling proud at the end of the day? What habit reflects the person I want to become? Too often, we overlook our progress because it feels ordinary. But ordinary actions repeated consistently create extraordinary lives. Take a moment to appreciate the habits that are already serving you. Gratitude builds momentum. The more you recognize positive behavior, the more likely you are to continue it. Then ask yourself one final question. How can I make this habit even stronger? Sometimes the smallest improvement creates the biggest long-term impact. Question 22. Which habit is quietly destroying my potential? Not all destructive habits are dramatic. Some are almost invisible. Constant procrastination, negative self-talk, complaining, comparing yourself with others, sleeping too little, ignoring your health, avoiding difficult conversations, spending hours consuming content instead of creating something meaningful. These habits don't ruin your future overnight. They slowly steal your confidence, your opportunities, and your time. That is what makes them dangerous. They rarely announce themselves. Instead, they whisper, "Just 5 more minutes. You'll start tomorrow. It doesn't matter today." Days become weeks. Weeks become years. Suddenly you realize you've delayed the life you wanted for far longer than you intended. Ask yourself honestly, which behavior keeps appearing in my life despite knowing it hurts me? What need is this habit trying to satisfy? Every habit exists for a reason. Perhaps procrastination protects you from the fear of failure. Perhaps endless scrolling distracts you from uncomfortable emotions. Perhaps overworking helps you avoid loneliness. Understanding the purpose behind a habit is just as important as recognizing the habit itself. You cannot replace what you don't understand. Instead of asking, "Why am I so undisciplined?" ask, "What problem am I trying to escape?" That question often reveals the real issue. Question 23. How do I spend the best hours of my day? Time is the one resource every human being receives equally. Every day offers 24 hours. Yet the quality of those hours determines the quality of your future. Think about your most energetic hours. For some people it's early morning, for others it's late evening. Now ask yourself, how am I spending my most valuable energy? Are you investing it in meaningful work, learning new skills, building relationships, improving your health, or are your best hours disappearing into distractions that you'll barely remember tomorrow? Many people protect their money more carefully than they protect their time, yet money can often be earned again. Time cannot. Imagine someone gave you a bank account with 1,440 units every morning. Whatever you failed to use disappeared forever at midnight. You would probably spend those units carefully. Life works the same way. Every day gives you 1,440 minutes. How you invest them determines the person you become. Ask yourself, what activities deserve my best energy? What activities only deserve my leftover time? The answer may encourage you to rearrange your priorities. Don't give your dreams the scraps of your day. Give them your best attention. Your future deserves your finest hours, not whatever remains after everything else has taken its share. Question 24. What one small habit could completely change my life? People often believe transformation requires enormous effort, but lasting transformation usually begins with one manageable decision, one page, one walk, one healthy meal, one honest conversation, 1 moment of gratitude, 1 hour without distractions, 1 act of kindness, 1 promise kept. Small habits succeed because they don't overwhelm you. They invite consistency rather than perfection. Think about the life you want to create. Now ask yourself, what tiny action could I repeat every day that would move me closer to that life? If you want to become wiser, perhaps read 10 pages each day. If you want healthier relationships, perhaps send 1 heartfelt message every day. If you want greater confidence, perhaps write 1 thing you're proud of every evening. If you want financial freedom, perhaps save a little consistently before spending. The action itself may appear insignificant, but repetition gives it extraordinary power. Never underestimate what 1 year of consistent effort can accomplish. The life you admire in others is usually the result of habits nobody applauded while they were building them. As you reflect on these 4 questions, remember something important. Habits are not simply things you do. They are evidence of what you believe. If you believe your health matters, your habits will reflect it. If you believe your dreams matter, your calendar will reveal it. If you believe your future matters, your daily choices will gradually align with it. Your habits tell the truth even when your words do not. That isn't meant to discourage you. It is meant to empower you, because habits can change. You don't need a completely different life tomorrow. You only need 1 better decision today, then another tomorrow, then another the day after that. Eventually, those decisions stop feeling like effort. They become identity. You no longer force yourself to act differently. You naturally become a different person. Before leaving this chapter, look back at your answers. Identify 1 habit that deserves strengthening. Identify 1 habit that needs replacing. Protect the hours that matter most. Choose 1 small action you can begin immediately. Not next Monday, not next month. Today. Because the person you will be 1 year from now is already being written. Not by your intentions, not by your dreams, not even by your goals, but by the quiet, repeated choices you make when nobody is watching. Those choices may seem ordinary, yet they are quietly writing the story of your future. Make sure they are writing a story you'll be proud to live. Chapter 7. The People Who Shape the Person You Become. There is a timeless truth that quietly influences every life. The people closest to you shape the person you eventually become. Whether you realize it or not, every conversation, every friendship, every relationship, and every environment leaves its mark on you. Some people bring out your courage, others awaken your doubts. Some inspire you to dream bigger, others convince you to settle for less. Think about the people you spend the most time with. How do you feel after leaving them? Do you feel encouraged, understood, motivated? Or do you leave feeling emotionally exhausted, criticized, or uncertain about yourself? Relationships are powerful because they influence more than your emotions. They influence your habits, your confidence, your standards, your decisions, and even your beliefs about what is possible. You don't become someone entirely on your own. You become someone through the company you keep. This doesn't mean surrounding yourself only with successful or influential people. It means surrounding yourself with people who encourage honesty, growth, kindness, and authenticity. The right people won't tell you who to become. They'll remind you of who you already are. The wrong people will constantly ask you to become someone you're not. This chapter invites you to look carefully at the relationships in your life, not with judgment or resentment, but with wisdom. Some relationships deserve greater appreciation, some deserve healthier boundaries, and some may have quietly reached the end of their purpose. The quality of your relationships often determines the quality of your life. Choose them with intention. Question 25. Who inspires me to become better? Every meaningful relationship leaves you changed. Think about the people who naturally bring out the best in you. Perhaps it's a parent who believed in you before you believed in yourself, a teacher who recognized your potential, a friend who encourages your dreams without jealousy, a mentor who challenges you to grow, Or perhaps it's someone you've never met personally, a writer, speaker, or historical figure whose ideas continue to shape your thinking. Ask yourself, who makes me want to become a kinder, wiser, stronger version of myself? What qualities do I admire most in them? How can I develop those same qualities in my own life? Inspiration is contagious. Spend enough time around people who live with integrity, courage, and purpose, and those qualities slowly become part of your own character. Notice that the most inspiring people rarely influence you through perfection. They influence you through consistency. They keep their promises. They admit their mistakes. They continue growing. Their example quietly reminds you that growth is possible. Never underestimate the power of one encouraging voice. Sometimes a single person believing in you can change the direction of your entire life. And sometimes that person must become you. Question 26. Which relationship is holding me back? This is one of the most uncomfortable questions in the book, because the answer may involve someone you care about. Not every relationship that lasts is healthy. Some friendships survive only because of history. Some family relationships continue because of obligation. Some romantic relationships remain because both people fear change more than unhappiness. Ask yourself honestly, who consistently leaves me feeling smaller instead of stronger? Who discourages my growth, even if they don't realize they're doing it? Which relationship drains more energy than it gives? This isn't about finding people to blame. Everyone carries their own struggles. Some people criticize because they were criticized. Some discourage because they never learned to believe in themselves. Understanding this creates compassion. But compassion does not require you to sacrifice your peace. Healthy relationships challenge you without controlling you. They correct you without humiliating you. They celebrate your growth instead of competing with it. If someone repeatedly demands that you shrink so they can remain comfortable, you may need stronger boundaries. Remember, loyalty should never require you to abandon yourself. You can love people while also protecting your emotional well-being. Sometimes the kindest decision is not ending a relationship. It's changing the distance between you and it. Healthy boundaries protect healthy futures. Question 27. Am I giving the same love, honesty, and respect that I expect from others? It is easy to evaluate the people around us. It is much harder to evaluate ourselves. We often ask, do people appreciate me? Do people support me? Do people understand me? But authentic relationships begin with a different question. Am I becoming the kind of person I hope to find? Ask yourself honestly, do I listen as carefully as I expect others to listen to me? Do I encourage the dreams of the people I love? Do I apologize when I'm wrong? Do I speak with kindness, even during disagreement? Every relationship is a mirror. The respect you give often influences the respect you receive. The honesty you demonstrate invites honesty from others. The compassion you offer creates space for compassion in return. No relationship will ever be perfect. Misunderstandings are inevitable. Disagreements are natural. People will disappoint you, and you will disappoint them. What matters most is whether both people remain willing to grow. Healthy relationships are not built by perfect people. They are built by humble people. People willing to communicate. People willing to forgive. People willing to improve. Before asking whether your relationships deserve to become better, ask whether you are becoming a better friend, partner, parent, sibling, or colleague. Growth begins with personal responsibility. As you finish this chapter, pause for a moment and picture your life as a garden. Every relationship is like a plant. Some flowers fill the garden with color, beauty, and life. Some trees provide shade during difficult seasons. Some plants simply need more attention and care, but weeds also grow. If left untouched, they slowly steal sunlight, water, and space from everything else. Your relationships work the same way. Some deserve gratitude. Some deserve honest conversations. Some deserve stronger boundaries, and some deserve the courage to let go. Read your answers once more. Notice the names that appear repeatedly. Notice the emotions connected to each person. Notice who helps you become more authentic and who quietly pulls you away from yourself. Then remember one final truth. The people around you influence your future, but they do not define it. You always have the power to choose who has a seat at your table, who has a voice in your decisions, and who has access to your heart. Choose relationships that challenge you to grow, encourage you to stay true to your values, and celebrate the person you are becoming. Because the life you truly want will never be built alone. But it will always be built with the right people walking beside you. Chapter 8. Finding the courage to choose yourself. For much of your life, you've probably been taught to be considerate, be kind, be generous, be respectful. These are beautiful qualities, and the world needs more of them. But somewhere along the way, many people confuse kindness with self-sacrifice. They say yes when every part of them wants to say no. They remain silent to avoid disappointing others. They ignore their own needs to keep everyone else comfortable. Slowly, they become experts at taking care of everyone except themselves. At first, this feels noble. People appreciate your reliability. They admire your willingness to help. They praise your generosity. But beneath the compliments, something begins to fade. Your energy, your confidence, your peace, your sense of identity. One day, you realize you've become a supporting character in your own life. You've spent so much time trying to become everything for everyone else that you've forgotten what truly matters to you. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Imagine trying to pour water from an empty cup. No matter how much you want to help others, eventually there is nothing left to give. The healthiest relationships are built by people who know how to care for themselves as well as others. Choosing yourself doesn't mean loving others less. It means refusing to abandon yourself in the process. This chapter is about reclaiming your voice, your values, and your right to build a life that reflects who you truly are. It takes courage. But every authentic life begins with one brave decision: to stop asking for permission to be yourself. Question 28. What boundary do I desperately need to set? Every healthy relationship has boundaries. A boundary is not a wall that keeps people out. It is a line that protects what matters most. Your time, your energy, your values, your emotional well-being. Without boundaries, people often expect more than you can reasonably give. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. If you never communicate your limits, others will naturally assume your availability has no limit. Ask yourself honestly, where do I regularly feel exhausted, resentful, or taken for granted? Who or what consistently crosses my personal limits? What boundary have I been afraid to communicate? Perhaps you need to stop answering work messages late at night. Perhaps you need to say no to commitments that leave you emotionally drained. Perhaps you need to spend less time with people who constantly criticize or manipulate you. Remember, people may initially resist your boundaries, not because they're wrong, but because they've become comfortable benefiting from your lack of them. Healthy people respect healthy boundaries. Those who become angry whenever you protect your peace often reveal why those boundaries were needed in the first place. Every boundary you set is an act of self-respect, and self-respect quietly teaches others how to treat you. Question 29. Where am I abandoning myself to keep others happy? This question requires deep honesty. Many people spend years searching for acceptance while quietly rejecting themselves. Think about the moments when you've ignored your own feelings. Perhaps you agreed with opinions you didn't believe. Perhaps you stayed in a relationship that no longer felt healthy. Perhaps you kept working in a career that made you miserable because everyone else thought it was successful. Maybe you've laughed at jokes that hurt you. Maybe you've apologized for things that weren't your fault. Maybe you've hidden your dreams because they didn't fit other people's expectations. Ask yourself, how often do I choose other people's comfort over my own truth? What part of myself have I repeatedly sacrificed for approval? If I truly respected myself, what would I stop tolerating? The desire to be liked is natural. But when acceptance becomes more important than authenticity, you begin losing the most important relationship you'll ever have, the relationship with yourself. Your life becomes exhausting because every day requires another performance. Real freedom begins when you realize that not everyone has to understand your choices. You are not responsible for managing everyone's expectations. You are responsible for living with integrity. The people who genuinely care about you may not always agree with your decisions, but they will respect the honesty behind them. Never trade your identity for temporary approval. The cost is far too high. Question 30. What decision have I delayed because I'm afraid of disappointing someone? Every meaningful life eventually requires difficult decisions. Changing careers, ending unhealthy relationships, moving to a new place, starting a business, returning to school, choosing a different path from the one others imagined for you. These decisions are rarely difficult because they're wrong. They're difficult because someone may not understand them. Ask yourself, what important decision have I been postponing? Whose disappointment am I afraid of? If I knew everyone would eventually accept my choice, what would I decide today? It is impossible to live an authentic life without disappointing someone at some point. No matter what path you choose, someone will wish you had chosen differently. If you spend your life trying to avoid disappointing others, you'll eventually disappoint yourself. And self-disappointment is one of the heaviest burdens to carry. Choosing your own path does not require anger. It does not require rebellion. It simply requires honesty. You can respect other people's opinions without allowing those opinions to control your future. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is kindly say, "I understand your concerns, but this is the direction I need to take." That sentence has changed countless lives. Perhaps it will change yours. Choosing yourself does not mean becoming selfish. It means becoming responsible for your own happiness instead of expecting other people to define it for you. It means recognizing that your dreams deserve attention, your well-being deserves protection, your values deserve honor, and your life deserves to be lived intentionally. As you read through your answers, notice where fear has been louder than your inner voice. Notice the boundaries you've avoided. Notice the moments when you've betrayed your own truth in exchange for acceptance. Notice the decision your heart has been quietly asking you to make. These are not signs that you've failed. They are invitations to grow. The strongest people are not those who never feel fear. They are those who choose truth despite fear. They understand that courage is not always loud. Sometimes courage is a quiet conversation, a respectful no, an honest goodbye, a new beginning, or simply looking in the mirror and saying, "My life matters too." From this day forward, let your choices reflect your values rather than your fears. Let your boundaries protect your peace rather than your guilt. And let your life become evidence that choosing yourself is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of wisdom, because the life you truly want will never be created by constantly becoming who everyone else expects you to be. It will be created the moment you have the courage to become fully, unapologetically, and authentically yourself. Chapter 9. The Purpose That Is Waiting for You. There comes a point in life when achievement alone is no longer enough. You can have a good job, a comfortable home, a respectable income, a busy schedule. People may even admire your success, yet deep inside you still feel as though something is missing. Not because your life lacks comfort, but because it lacks connection to something greater than yourself. That feeling is often misunderstood. Many people believe they need a completely different life when, in reality, they need a clearer sense of purpose. Purpose is not about being famous. It is not about becoming the richest person in the room. It is not even about having all the answers. Purpose is knowing why you wake up each morning. It is the reason you keep moving forward when life becomes difficult. It gives ordinary days extraordinary meaning. Without purpose, life becomes a series of obligations. With purpose, even challenges begin to feel worthwhile. The beautiful thing about purpose is that it rarely arrives as a lightning bolt. It unfolds slowly. It reveals itself through your strengths, your passions, your experiences, your values, and even your struggles. Many people spend years searching for purpose somewhere outside themselves, but purpose is rarely discovered by running away from who you are. It is discovered by becoming more deeply connected to yourself. The questions in this chapter are not designed to hand you your purpose. They are designed to help you uncover the clues that have been quietly pointing toward it all along. Listen carefully. Your life has been leaving you hints. Question 31. What strengths have I been underestimating? Most people can easily list their weaknesses. Ask someone what they struggle with, and the answers often come quickly. Ask them what they are genuinely good at, and suddenly they hesitate. Why? Because many of us have been taught that recognizing our strengths is arrogance. It isn't. Ignoring your strengths helps no one. Every person possesses natural abilities. Perhaps you connect easily with people. Perhaps you're a patient listener. Maybe you solve problems creatively. Perhaps you're dependable, curious, disciplined, compassionate, organized, or resilient. Some strengths are obvious. Others become so natural that you hardly notice them. Have you ever had someone compliment you on something that seemed effortless? That's often where your strengths are hiding. Ask yourself, what do people frequently thank me for? Which tasks feel natural while others find them difficult? What qualities have helped me overcome life's hardest moments? Don't only focus on professional skills. Character strengths often have an even greater impact. Kindness, integrity, curiosity, courage, humility. These qualities shape lives far more deeply than titles ever will. Your strengths are not random, they are tools. And every meaningful purpose is built upon using those tools to serve something greater than yourself. Stop overlooking the gifts you've already been given. The world benefits when you use them. Question 32. What impact do I want my life to have? Imagine that many years have passed. Your journey is complete. People gather to remember you. What do you hope they say? Not about your possessions, not about your social status, not about how busy you were, but about who you were. Would they remember your kindness, your generosity, your wisdom, your courage, the way you made people feel, the lives you helped change? One of the greatest mistakes people make is confusing success with significance. Success is often measured by what you achieve. Significance is measured by how your life improves the lives of others. Ask yourself, whose life do I hope to make better? What problem would I love to help solve? If I could leave one lasting contribution to the world, what would it be? Your impact doesn't have to reach millions. Sometimes changing one person's life changes generations. A teacher inspires a student. That student becomes a doctor. The doctor saves countless lives. Purpose often grows through quiet acts of influence rather than dramatic moments of recognition. Never underestimate the ripple effect of your choices. The smallest act of kindness may travel farther than you'll ever know. Question 33. If today were the beginning of my real life, what would I dedicate it to? Imagine today is your first opportunity to consciously design your future. Forget your past mistakes. Forget the expectations others placed upon you. Forget every label you've carried. You are free to choose again. What deserves your energy? What deserves your time? What deserves your heart? Ask yourself honestly, what work would make me feel proud, even if nobody applauded it? What cause would I gladly dedicate years of my life to? What kind of contribution would make my life meaningful? Many people postpone meaningful living because they believe purpose requires perfect circumstances. It doesn't. Purpose begins wherever you are. If your purpose is helping people, you can begin today. If your purpose is learning, you can begin today. If your purpose is creating, encouraging, teaching, building, healing, protecting, or inspiring, you can begin today. Purpose is less about finding one perfect destination. It is more about choosing a meaningful direction. Every day you move in that direction strengthens your sense of fulfillment. Purpose also changes as you grow. What inspired you at 20 may not inspire you at 40. What mattered before hardship may look different after you've survived it. That doesn't mean you were lost. It means you were evolving. Never feel guilty for outgrowing an old dream. The purpose of life is not to remain the same. It is to become more fully yourself. Sometimes your greatest purpose grows out of your greatest pain. The person who overcame anxiety becomes the mentor who helps others find peace. The entrepreneur who experienced failure teaches resilience. The parent who endured hardship raises children with extraordinary compassion. The survivor becomes the guide. Your struggles may one day become someone else's hope. Do not waste the wisdom your experiences have given you. They are part of your purpose. As you finish this chapter, read your answers slowly. Notice the strengths you've overlooked. Notice the kind of impact you long to make. Notice what your heart keeps returning to when you imagine a meaningful life. You may still not have every answer. That is perfectly normal. Purpose is rarely discovered all at once. It reveals itself one faithful step at a time. You don't need to know every detail of your future. You simply need enough clarity to take the next meaningful step. Remember this: a meaningful life is not measured by how much you collect. It is measured by how much of yourself you courageously give. Your authentic self already carries unique gifts. Your experiences have shaped a perspective no one else possesses. Your voice can encourage people you've never met. Your kindness can heal wounds you'll never fully see. Your courage can inspire someone who believes they're alone. You were never meant to spend your entire life asking, "What can the world give me?" The deeper question is, what can I uniquely give to the world? The answer to that question is where purpose begins. And once you begin living with purpose, success becomes more than personal achievement. It becomes a life that leaves the world a little brighter because you chose to live authentically, serve generously, and become the person you were created to be. That is the purpose that has been waiting for you all along. Chapter 10. The future is watching the choices you make today. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. The future version of you walks into the room. Their face reflects every decision you haven't made yet, every opportunity you chose to pursue or ignore, every habit you built or neglected, every relationship you nurtured or allowed to fade, every dream you acted upon or quietly abandoned. Now imagine looking into their eyes. Would they thank you? Or would they gently ask, "Why did you keep waiting?" The future is not something that simply happens to you. It is something you create, not all at once, not through one extraordinary breakthrough, but through the ordinary decisions you make every single day. Many people believe their future will improve when circumstances change. I'll be happier when I earn more money. I'll start living once I have more time. I'll follow my dreams when life becomes easier. Yet life rarely becomes easier on its own. The people who build meaningful lives are not those who wait for perfect conditions. They are the ones who choose progress despite imperfect circumstances. Every decision is like placing one brick. One brick may seem insignificant, but after years of placing bricks with care, you've built a home, or you've built a prison. Your future is being constructed right now, whether you realize it or not. The beautiful truth is that you still have the power to influence what that future becomes. This chapter is about making choices with intention instead of habit, because every choice you make today is introducing you to the person you'll become tomorrow. Question 34. What kind of person do I want to become 5 years from now? Notice that this question does not ask what you want to own. It asks who you want to become. Many people focus entirely on external goals, a larger house, a better salary, a prestigious title. These ambitions are not wrong, but they are incomplete. Because possessions can change, character remains. Ask yourself honestly, what qualities do I want people to notice about me 5 years from now? Do I want to become wiser, kinder, more disciplined, more courageous, more peaceful? Imagine your future self describing the journey. Would they say, I became someone who keeps promises. I finally believed in myself. I learned to love without fear. I stopped living for other people's approval. Your future identity should guide your present behavior. Every day, ask yourself one simple question. Would the person I hope to become make this choice? That single question can transform countless decisions. Because lasting success begins with becoming before achieving. Question 35. What dream have I postponed for too long? Nearly everyone has a dream they've quietly placed on a shelf. Not because they stopped caring, but because life became busy, responsibilities increased, fear grew louder, confidence became smaller. Perhaps your dream is writing a book, starting a business, traveling, returning to education, changing careers, learning a musical instrument, building a healthier body, repairing an important relationship. The dream itself matters less than the reason you've delayed it. Ask yourself, what dream keeps returning to my mind year after year? Why have I convinced myself that now isn't the right time? What am I really waiting for? The perfect moment is one of life's greatest illusions. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be obstacles. There will always be reasons to postpone. But remember this. One day, later, quietly becomes never. Don't allow that to happen. Imagine the regret of looking back decades from now, knowing the opportunity existed, but courage did not. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine trying. Imagine growing. Imagine discovering that you were far more capable than you believed. Failure may disappoint you for a season. Regret has a way of lasting much longer. The life you truly want cannot remain a someday dream forever. Eventually, it must become today's decision. Question 36. What choice today would make my future self proud? This may be the most practical question in the entire book, because it moves reflection into action. Your future self doesn't need perfection from you. They simply need consistency. Ask yourself, what conversation have I been avoiding? What habit should I begin today? What unhealthy pattern should I end? What opportunity deserves my courage instead of my excuses? Perhaps making your future self proud means choosing forgiveness over resentment. Perhaps it means exercising even when you don't feel motivated. Perhaps it means turning off your phone and spending meaningful time with your family. Perhaps it means investing in learning rather than endless entertainment. Or perhaps it simply means believing in yourself one more time. Never underestimate one good decision. One honest conversation can heal years of misunderstanding. One application can change your career. One healthy habit can transform your body. One brave choice can redirect your entire future. Your future is not asking you to accomplish everything today. It is asking you to move one step closer. One step, then another. That is how remarkable lives are built. Every sunrise offers two invisible gifts, a new beginning and a new choice. Most people notice the beginning. Few recognize the choice. Every day, life quietly asks, who are you becoming? The answer isn't found in your intentions. It isn't found in your dreams. It isn't even found in your plans. It is found in your actions. Small actions repeated consistently become habits. Habits become character. Character becomes destiny. This is why your future is watching your choices, not because fate has already decided your life, but because today's decisions become tomorrow's reality. As you finish this chapter, return to your answers. Picture the person you hope to become. Picture the dream waiting patiently for your courage. Picture the one decision that could move your life forward today. Then stop imagining for a moment. Act. Write the email. Make the phone call. Read the first chapter. Take the walk. Submit the application. Begin the project. Apologize. Forgive. Start. Remember, your future will never be created by the life you intended to live. It will be created by the life you chose to build. Years from now, you will look back on this season of your life. May you not remember it as the time you hesitated. May you remember it as the moment you finally realized that the future you dreamed about was never waiting for luck. It was waiting for your decision, and every meaningful future begins with one courageous choice made today. Chapter 11. Becoming someone you can be proud of. There is one relationship that will last longer than any other in your life. Long after careers change, friendships evolve, children grow up, and circumstances shift, one person will remain with you every single day. That person is you. The question is not whether you'll spend your life with yourself. The question is whether you'll enjoy the company. Many people spend years trying to impress the world while quietly disappointing themselves. They achieve success but neglect integrity. They gain recognition but lose peace. They become admired by others while struggling to admire the person they see in the mirror. True confidence does not come from applause. It comes from knowing that your actions match your values. It comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. It comes from becoming someone you trust. The greatest achievement in life is not building an impressive reputation. It is building a character that remains strong even when nobody is watching. This chapter is about becoming the kind of person you respect, not because you're perfect, but because you're honest, consistent, and committed to growing. Success may earn admiration. Character earns self-respect. And self-respect is one of the greatest forms of freedom. Question 37. What personal value will I never compromise? Every meaningful life is built upon values. Values are the principles that guide your decisions when life becomes difficult. Anyone can be honest when honesty is easy. Anyone can be kind when kindness costs nothing. But your true values are revealed when keeping them requires courage. Ask yourself, what principle is so important that I refuse to betray it, even if doing so would benefit me? Perhaps your answer is integrity, compassion, loyalty, curiosity, faith, justice, respect, responsibility. Whatever your answer may be, remember this. If you don't consciously choose your values, circumstances will choose them for you. Life will repeatedly test what matters most. When those moments arrive, your values become your compass. They keep you moving in the right direction even when the path becomes uncertain. A person without values is easily influenced. A person with clear values remains steady even during life's strongest storms. Question 38. What promise do I need to make to myself? Think about the promises you've made throughout your life. Promises to family, friends, colleagues, people you care about. Now ask yourself, how many promises have I broken to myself? Perhaps you promised to take better care of your health, to stop doubting yourself, to pursue your dream, to spend more time with your family, to forgive yourself, to speak honestly, to stop settling for less than you deserve. Every time you break a promise to yourself, something small happens inside. Trust begins to weaken. The next promise becomes easier to ignore. Eventually, you stop believing your own commitments. That is why keeping promises to yourself is so powerful. It rebuilds self-trust. Ask yourself, what promise would completely change the direction of my life if I actually kept it? Keep that promise. Not because someone else expects it, but because your future depends on becoming someone who can rely on themselves. Self-confidence grows every time your actions prove your words. Question 39. What fear am I finally ready to outgrow? Fear has accompanied you throughout this book. You've already explored how it shaped your decisions, your dreams, and your identity. Now it's time to ask a different question. Not whether fear exists, but whether it still deserves control. Think about the fear that has followed you the longest. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of change, fear of not being enough. Ask yourself, how much of my life has this fear already taken from me? What opportunities have I missed because I believed this fear? Who could I become if I no longer allowed it to make my decisions? Fear rarely disappears overnight, but every time you act despite it, its voice becomes a little quieter. Courage is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. One brave conversation, one difficult decision, one honest step. Eventually, the life that once frightened you becomes the life you naturally live. Question 40. What daily reminder will help me stay true to myself? Life moves quickly, responsibilities increase, unexpected challenges appear. Without intention, it becomes easy to drift back into old habits and old ways of thinking. That is why you need reminders. Simple truths that bring you back to yourself. Perhaps your reminder is progress, not perfection. Choose courage over comfort. Be kind, but don't abandon yourself. Live according to your values, not your fears. Small steps every day. Or perhaps you create your own sentence, one that speaks directly to your heart. Ask yourself, what words do I need to hear on difficult days? What truth keeps me grounded when life feels uncertain? Write those words somewhere you'll see them often. On your phone, your journal, your mirror, your desk. Let them become part of your daily rhythm. Because transformation doesn't happen through one powerful moment. It happens through repeated moments of remembering who you truly are. As you finish this chapter, pause and reflect on how far you've come. You have questioned your identity, removed your masks, confronted your fears, made peace with your past, clarified your dreams, examined your habits, evaluated your relationships, chosen yourself, discovered your purpose, and begun shaping your future. Now one final challenge remains. Will you live according to everything you've discovered? Knowledge alone never changes a life. Applied wisdom does. Read through your answers once more. Notice the values that define you. Notice the promise you are ready to keep. Notice the fear that no longer deserves authority over your future. Notice the reminder that will guide you when life becomes noisy again. Remember, becoming someone you're proud of is not a destination you reach once. It is a decision you make every day. Every honest choice strengthens your character. Every promise you keep strengthens your confidence. Every courageous step strengthens your future. And one day, when you look into the mirror, you won't see a stranger. You'll see someone you genuinely admire, not because they lived a perfect life, but because they lived an authentic one. Chapter 12. Your new beginning starts with one brave decision. Every meaningful journey reaches a moment when reflection must become action. You have spent the last 11 chapters asking difficult questions. You have looked beyond the masks you wear. You have confronted fears that quietly shaped your choices. You have made peace with your past. You have rediscovered your dreams. You have examined your habits, your relationships, your purpose, and the future you want to create. Now comes the most important question of all. What will you do with everything you've discovered? Self-awareness is powerful, but self-awareness without action becomes another form of procrastination. Many people read inspiring books. They attend seminars. They listen to motivational speeches. For a few days they feel hopeful. Then life returns to normal. Not because the ideas were wrong, but because information alone never changes a life. Transformation begins the moment knowledge becomes action. The life you truly want has never been waiting for another book, another course, or another perfect opportunity. It has been waiting for one brave decision. The decision to stop postponing the person you know you are capable of becoming. You don't need to change everything today. You don't need to have every answer. You simply need the courage to take the next step. Because every extraordinary life begins with an ordinary decision made wholeheartedly. This final chapter is not an ending. It is your invitation to begin. Question 41. What am I ready to leave behind forever? Every new beginning requires letting go of something old. A tree cannot grow stronger while holding on to every dead branch. Likewise, you cannot build the life you truly want while carrying everything that belongs to the life you've outgrown. Ask yourself honestly, what belief no longer serves me? What habit keeps pulling me backwards? What fear has controlled me for too long? What relationship, excuse, or identity have I outgrown? Perhaps you're ready to leave behind constant self-doubt. Perhaps you're ready to stop comparing yourself to others. Perhaps you're finally prepared to release guilt, resentment, or the need for everyone's approval. Letting go is rarely easy. The familiar often feels safer than the unknown. But remember this. You cannot receive with hands that refuse to let go. Sometimes growth is less about adding more to your life and more about removing what no longer belongs there. Freedom begins the moment you stop carrying what was never meant to stay. Question 42. What action will I take within the next 24 hours? Dreams become reality through action. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Ask yourself, what is one meaningful action I can take before this day ends? Not the biggest action, not the perfect action, simply the next action. Perhaps you'll send the application you've been delaying. Perhaps you'll begin exercising. Perhaps you'll apologize to someone you've hurt. Perhaps you'll make the phone call you've been avoiding. Perhaps you'll write the first page of your book. Perhaps you'll spend uninterrupted time with your family. Small actions create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates consistency, and consistency creates transformation. Do not underestimate what can happen when you honor one promise to yourself today. Many people spend years planning a better life. Few begin living it. Become one of the few. When you finish this chapter, choose your action. Write it down, then complete it before another 24 hours pass. Your future begins much sooner than you think. Question 43. What legacy do I want my life to leave? One day, every achievement will become a memory. Every possession will belong to someone else. Every title will eventually be forgotten. But the impact you leave on people can continue long after you're gone. Think about the individuals who have influenced your life the most. What do you remember? Their kindness, their courage, their generosity, their wisdom, their unwavering belief in you. Very rarely do we remember people because of what they owned. We remember them because of how they made us feel. Ask yourself, how do I want people to describe me after I'm gone? What values do I hope others see in my life? Who will become stronger because I was part of their journey? Legacy isn't created in one extraordinary moment. It is built through thousands of ordinary moments. The conversations you have, the promises you keep, the compassion you show, the example you set. Your legacy is already being written every single day. Write a story worth remembering. Question 44. From this moment on, who am I choosing to become? This is the final question. Not because it is the end, but because every answer you've written has been preparing you for this one. Notice the wording carefully. It does not ask, who do I hope to become? It asks, who am I choosing to become? Identity is built through choices. Every decision either strengthens the person you want to become or strengthens the person you're trying to leave behind. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the future version of yourself. The version who lives with integrity, who speaks honestly, who protects their peace, who pursues meaningful work, who loves deeply, who continues learning, who faces fear with courage, who keeps promises, who lives according to values rather than approval. That person is not someone else. That person is you. The distance between who you are today and who you wish to become is created by your daily choices. Choose wisely, choose consistently, choose courageously, and never forget that becoming is a lifelong journey, not a single destination. Take one final look through the answers you've written throughout this book. You may notice something surprising. The greatest discovery wasn't hidden somewhere in these pages, it was hidden within you. The questions did not create a new person. They revealed the person who had always been there beneath fear, expectations, doubt, and old stories. That authentic self has been patiently waiting for you to stop seeking permission, waiting for you to stop comparing your path with someone else's, waiting for you to trust your own voice. Today, you have a choice. You can close this book, return to familiar routines, and allow these pages to become another forgotten experience. Or you can decide that this moment marks the beginning of a different life. Not a perfect life, a purposeful one. Not a fearless life, a courageous one. Not a life designed to impress others. A life designed to reflect your deepest values. Remember, you will never feel completely ready. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be challenges. There will always be reasons to wait. But there will never be a better time to become yourself than now. One honest question began this journey. One brave decision completes it. As you step into the next chapter of your life, carry this truth with you. You already possess everything you need to begin. The courage is within you. The wisdom is within you. The strength is within you. And the life you truly want is no longer something to search for. It is something you choose, one thought, one decision, one habit, and one courageous step at a time. Your authentic life begins today. If you've reached this final chapter, take a moment to appreciate how far you've come. Not because you've found every answer, but because you've had the courage to ask the questions that truly matter. Throughout this journey, you've looked honestly at your identity, confronted your fears, reflected on your past, clarified your values, examined your habits, strengthened your relationships, rediscovered your purpose, and envisioned the future you want to create. More importantly, you've begun to understand that the life you truly want doesn't begin with changing the world around you. It begins with changing the relationship you have with yourself. Remember, these 44 questions were never meant to be answered once and forgotten. As you grow, your experiences will change, your priorities will evolve, and your answers will deepen. Return to these questions often. Let them become trusted companions whenever you feel lost, uncertain, or ready for a new chapter. There will still be difficult days. There will still be setbacks, disappointments, and moments of self-doubt. But now you possess something more valuable than certainty. You possess self-awareness. And self-awareness gives you the power to choose your response instead of simply reacting to life. Never forget that authenticity is not about becoming someone new. It is about removing everything that prevents the real you from shining through. Every courageous choice, every honest conversation, every promise you keep to yourself brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. So walk forward with confidence, trust your inner voice, honor your values, keep asking meaningful questions, keep growing, keep becoming, because your greatest achievement will never be living someone else's version of success. It will be having the courage to live your own.